I love that positivity.
I'm calling the Ponca City Board of Education meeting to order. We're going to start out with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Adam?
All right. Please join me in prayer. Is that on? Heavenly Father, please bless this group with the wisdom, empathy, and compassion to continue serving the students of Ponca City. May you bless this community with a spirit of fellowship and excitement for the return of school this fall. I ask you to protect each of the students, staff, and admin as we return and help ensure we transition smoothly into school. Be with us this evening as we make the decisions to carry on the Ponca City tradition. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Roll call.
Mr. Newsom?
Here.
Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mrs. Rowland? Present. Mrs. Troop?
Present.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Here.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comments. Do we have any public comments?
We do. Gary Volker, 704 East Overwood, speaking on agenda item 5.2.
Okay. You have 3 minutes.
This is Eric and the Ponca City School Board. It appears to me that the response of the school board to my comments last meeting regarding the poor example of the school board bullying Mrs. Welch was included in the minutes in its entirety. I would like to request that my comments be included in their entirety as well. And I can provide you with a copy if that would be helpful. Thank you.
That'd be great, thanks. Those to Miss Story, she's our minutes clerk.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is the superintendent's report with potential board discussion.
Number 3.
You skipped one.
Oh, wait a minute, I thought that was, where did I skip?
3.
Reports with potential board discussion.
That's what I just said. And didn't I just read that?
You said superintendent's.
Report with potential board discussion.
the one on top says.
What is it supposed to be?
Yeah, see, this one does not have it on there. Here, you can.
Okay, sorry about that.
Anyone?
Okay. Okay, number 3, reports with potential board discussion. Sorry about that, I didn't get the right one. Oops.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me present this information tonight. It's been a little while since I've been here, but I'm back to talk about college remediation report once again.
Who are you?
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Dent.
Mr. Dent, our high school principal. We know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
I'm just going to keep throwing curveballs.
I appreciate that. Kind of like those bathrooms at the high school. We aren't done. Okay, all right, very good. Okay, so college remediation data. This is that tricky report. It's a little strange. Just to kind of quickly review, we've been looking at this data as a state for over 10 years now. It really kind of started back around 10, 11. The data's been somewhat consistent since about 15. And we've been trying to look at this. Obviously, we know college is expensive. We know that college remediation is very expensive. You know, when you think about Superintendent Hoffmeister said, I think in 2020, that we had spent $22 million in remediation, you know, on zero-level coursework at the university level across the state. The thing that gets tricky is it's so hard to really accurately track because, one, the student has to go to an Oklahoma college. 2, it really doesn't factor in concurrent because they're not first time. And so then you start tweaking that number, but it is important. It's good information. It's debatable as far as accurate, usable data, but it's good information because it's something we should be concerned about, making sure that our students are prepared, that they have developed to their fullest potential and that their opportunities are wide open for them. So we'll kind of take a sneak peek and I'll share some last year's stuff with you if I can.
Just hit enter, Mr. Dent. I didn't bring a clicker.
I need to get out of the way.
Okay, Mr. Ethan is going to help us. There he goes. You got it.
All right.
You're not using your own.
Sorry about that. So here's some of those percentages, just looking around at Pohai versus the state, you can kind of see where we're at in regards to the state as at large. So science data, not a lot of schools will provide remedial courses in the area of science. And so that's kind of one of those, again, a little bit of hard to track. You'll see that most schools do not have a very high percentage in science because Northern or whatever school usually doesn't provide a remedial course in that area. English, math, reading. Those are numbers that have been all over the place for us. Last year, English for us was at 23.8%. So you can see this year it's 11.4. That's comparing 19 to 20. This is 20 data. Math, 7.6. Last year it was 28.7. So some significant change in those two numbers. Reading was almost unchanged. We were at 19.8 last year. We're up to 20 on the 20 data, excuse me. So a little bit of comparison with us and the state as far as that goes. Percentage-wise, we're in the ballpark. It's interesting to me, our math scores versus the state's and then our reading scores versus the state. They're almost flip-flopped here. Some comparable data, looking at Ponca City, Enid, Stillwater, and Choctaw. We can kind of draw some lines there of students that are similar in nature to Pohai. Looking across there at Enid's data, they're relatively in that same ballpark that we are, slightly larger as far as percentage-wise. Choctaw, quite a bit, consistently there. And then you've got Stillwater, which is just down the road to kind of see where they're at.
And as far as our demographics go, Stillwater's demographics are probably, our demographics are likely more comparable to Enid and Choctaw.
Comparable, yes, ma'am. Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, I'll ask you the same question I've asked for 10, 12 years to every principal that's had to report this. Is Stillwater that much better than us? Because every year they smack us.
It's a good question. It's a good question. And some of it is the data itself. And I'll talk to you about that. This is pretty interesting. When you dig deeper, we had in this year, 2020, that this data is, we had 36.9% of the senior class went on to college for the first time the year after. Immediately following graduation, they entered college. Stillwater was 22% for the first time. Now, Stillwater has about a 70% college attendance rate. So what are they doing that we're not doing? More of their students are participating in concurrent and other opportunities before they go off to school.
And you said concurrent doesn't count in these numbers.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. So that's
That's
been.
the first time I've heard that one, but I mean, that's
Makes
legitimate.
sense.
And that's been a big effort before I even came, because last year was my first year, as you guys know. Shane didn't buy it. But last year was my first year. And so before I even came, there was a lot of effort to strengthen not only concurrent participation, College Board, also with our AP program, but also to provide a more meaningful senior year. And so that's something that I've tried to build upon and take that lead from my predecessor to see if we can enhance that. 36.9, that's amazing to me that we have almost 40% of our seniors that will go to college, which is great, but it's the first time. And NOC's just down the street. The university center's literally blocks away. And so it's interesting to me, how can we enhance that to better prepare our kids? So, sorry I get on my soapbox.
Mr. Dent,
on that.
before you
Yes.
move on, I kind of wanted to follow up on something. You had mentioned that our demographics are more aligned with Enid's and Choctaws. Can you speak
Our
to
free
that?
and reduced rate experiences, background knowledge, and there's a lot of research that correlates to the experiences of children from poverty, and we're about at the same free and reduced rate as Enid and Choctaw.
And I wonder if that wouldn't have also a factor in.
I'm just wondering if we're pushing enough of it to the kids, asking them why they're not going Tonkawa, why are they not doing UC, that type of stuff.
Right.
As
Or
far as
something.
Aren't we adding juniors?
Right, but
this
you still have
next
to
year?
pay for concurrent when you're here at the high school. Yes.
So they won't be in that.
No,
Not
yeah.
this year. Actually, it was always seniors, but
It
you can
was-
actually,
now
now
it's
this
extended to
ends.
juniors.
Right,
you
but
do
we
have to
still
pay
have,
for
you
the
still have to
fee.
pay an amount.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so does Stillwater maybe not do that since they're right there? It's a cheaper rate to go to OSU when you live in Stillwater too. Maybe that's it, the money situation? I don't know, I'm just saying.
Well, I think.
know we had to
you
pay.
know, there could be an argument on our end that maybe some of our kids that aren't doing concurrent prefer a traditional high school experience. Right? So
100%.
you could swing it the other way.
Right.
It's hard to really define why that is or why that isn't. It's our responsibility as educators at Poe High, it's our responsibility to make sure, again, that they're developed to the fullest potential, and so that they can go do whatever opportunity that they want. And so it's our job to educate them, not only get them in those programs, but also to educate them about those opportunities and to, bridge that gap. Make that senior year a meaningful year to help them with that next step. 36%, almost 40? Yeah, there's a lot of kids there that ultimately decide to go to college that didn't. Let's see if we can't work on that number. Yeah.
I'm sure that probably the band, athletics, and all that stuff.
Extracurriculars.
Extracurricular is going to throw them all out of whack. I mean, they just,
Sure.
because I can remember when my daughter was
UMC
going,
here.
you couldn't go.
And they can do concurrent at the UMC. How do we compare UMC
UC.
to going to NOC?
Just UC.
UC.
It used to be the I don't
Whatever.
know, UC.
Adams Old Place.
Yeah. Yeah,
Got his head
UC.
down, we're talking.
But it is like.
Now, we're having, two of our counselors are going to be at the UC tomorrow. There isn't an event for our juniors and seniors so that they can enroll in
There
concurrent
is.
tomorrow.
And we're excited about that, excited about the.
Do we have much
publicity.
turnout at the UC as
We do.
compared to NOC?
We do. It is still, for some, I know Mr. Leeming and I, Dr. Hawkins and I, we've had some conversations about, doing all we can to strengthen our partnerships with those higher education institutions to see if we can't remove whatever obstacles might be there. Enid provides scholarships for students to cover their fees and textbooks,
Okay.
to remove those obstacles for kids that may not be able to
About
take concurrent. Because the
$630,
regions,
$650 around there.
yeah, because the regions will pay for tuition, but they won't cover fees.
Sure.
Right,
things
and it's a
like that.
it's a good chunk.
About
It's-
$600
Yeah, it's a good chunk of money. So, and I know when Devin was enrolled, there was not a lot of communication, and I'm not blaming anybody, but if you get it online, it was more than if you went there. There's just a lot that you don't,
I agree that there
Yeah.
can be
There's- yeah.
strengthened services.
How are numbers looking for next year as far as concurrent, Dr. Hawkins, or?
Concurrent looks like it's going to be up a little bit. We had a few nights, we partnered with NOC. They were gracious enough to come out. Dr. Edgington came out and spoke to a lot of students. We had a full house at the concert hall, and that was in the spring. This announcement about juniors having a tuition waiver has increased a lot of interest, and so we're expecting a big crowd. We have a little bit of construction still going on in the high school, so we worked out a deal to send our counselors, as you were referring to, over to the UC to meet with parents and students. And so we had 100 students interested in the spring, and so we're guessing that we'll probably be in excess of that.
We'll get another blast out about that in the morning on our social media too. So, starts at 10, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you saying it's cost? what's the cost of UC? You remember?
I
What-
mean, 12 months ago.
Fees.
A single class with fees would be about $350, $400.
400 and something bucks.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I think my
at
son had
5%
like
of
2
it.
guys. I guess
Yeah.
mine was probably cheaper because I work.
And you're 600 at,
Well,
somewhere-
that's, yeah.
Ours was
I-
400
Mine was
at
probably, my son was
UC
taking a couple
NSC.
classes.
Per
and then I had the
semester.
Employee
And
rate.
current enrollment kids would be an all-time high for them.
per semester?
Yeah, first semester.
No, I mean the fees.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes. So it is pricey. for
Trust
some.
me, it's a whole lot cheaper than to go straight to OSU.
It really is.
100%.
It is.
That's
It's
also
It is
valuable to
significantly
go,
cheaper.
but
I
if
mean,
we
I
could
had a
find a way to
granddaughter that
make
did
it,
it.
if we could find a way to make it work for our families or find a need or maybe there's a
Yeah.
community group or something.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, sorry to interrupt your presentation with all
No,
the
no,
questions.
it's good, it's good. You guys with your questions pretty much covered most of the data that I wanted to share with you guys. It is a little bit tricky to track. There are things that definitely come into play. Here's some recent developments. I'll just give you an example of this. This is why the data is hard. Everybody gets up here and says it's hard to track. I'm going to give you an example of some changes. Over the last few years, we started looking at the colleges, NOC, et cetera, started looking at the students that were coming in. We were looking at data school-wide. Mrs. Arrett has kind of led. Dr. Hawkins helped with the secondary effort, and we were looking at data. A 21 on the ACT is a proficient score. So if you are 20 on the ACT, you're not proficient according to the state. But you need an 18 or higher to get into NOC. So sometimes it's a little bit wonky where the data is. If you score a 0 to 14 on the ACT in English, you would have to potentially take a 0-level course. Now, those are the numbers that they have on their site right now. So 15 to 18, they provide a supplement course. They used to have kind of a basic, an intermediate, and then a regular class. They've gotten rid of those. It's now 0 level, or they put you in with a lab, and they give you support while you take that class, and you still earn your full 3 hours of credit. Or if you're higher than a 19 on the ACT, you don't have the supplemental support, and you can go in and take the class. So schools are starting to change. And so we're going to see even different reports on this data as it moves forward. So anyways, it's kind of a wonky thing, but it's a good thing to look at for the big picture. Sorry. Any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you guys for listening.
Oh, yeah, go back to the very first slide. I do have a question. If I remember right, math and English, I think it was math and English really reversed from the previous year. Is that different group of kids or instructors or something you've done, or you don't know what the heck caused it?
It's not me, and I wish I could take credit for it, but it's not me. This is, again, this would be
2020.
seniors from 2020. So I still have my scapegoat for a little while on this stuff. But
You can say it was your instructors, that you've got better instructors.
I
it's 'cause
wish
I
we could
taught
take credit for that.
Yeah, I
I
want to know
think-
what Choctaw's doing for
I
reading.
think a lot of what's going on is every school is trying to do the best they can to chase as high up ACT scores as they possibly can. And that does factor with instruction. You're exactly right. Instruction's huge. Direct instruction, the quality of instruction is big. We all know, we were having a conversation in the back of the room. Before the state said that the ACT or SAT would be the official 11th grade assessment, the state was at a point where our average on the ACT was almost a 21. It was a 20.6 way back in 15, 16. Well, now it's an 18. Well, we started testing everybody. So it's so hard to, there's all of those things that change from year to year. And
hard to get a
definitely
trend.
where you're looking at data that's almost 3 years old.
And then throw a pandemic into the mix.
Yeah, and then that COVID thing.
That's really going to mess with the data for a while, so appreciate you bringing it for us, though.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Those slides were stellar.
Good job. Thank you, Mr. Dent.
Yes. Now, is this the one I go by?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
guessing. I don't know where that
Okay.
other one came from.
We have number 4, superintendent's report with potential board discussion.
Well, for once, I don't have a PowerPoint because it's pretty easy. Here's what we need as far as staffing goes. We need a math teacher at Poe High. We had a late resignation due to a relocation out of state, and it's hard right now to get any teacher, much less an advanced math teacher, so we do have a workaround. And we have a staff member who's certified in advanced math, and we may do some swapping, but we've got some things on the line, and Jennifer made some calls this afternoon, so never fear, we're going to be okay in math. We need a head boys and a head girls soccer coach. We do have some options. We do not have teaching positions unless they're advanced math or chemistry or anything else that we could hire out of ESSER funds, but we do have some options. Here's something that's giving us a little heartburn. We could possibly need a chemistry teacher at Poe High. We were notified of a possible spouse transfer to Kansas just last week. Now, we thought we were going to hear of a resignation midweek or by the end of the week, and we still haven't heard anything. Good for us. I don't know how great that is for the family, but this is going to be problematic for us if we don't have a chemistry teacher. We have several staff members who are certified in chemistry, and Zach, yes, you're one of them, as you sit back there smiling.
But I've also got a full schedule of AP courses, so I know Mr. Denton and I have already worked out a
Well, therein lies the problem. It's going to be hard to schedule for everybody who has a chemistry certification. We do not have a resignation, but I discussed this at Chamber Education Workforce, and what we might do is if we have a resignation, put out for an adjunct faculty member. You don't have to be certified. You have to have a college degree and have some expertise in the area. So if we had anybody know of a retired chemist that might want to come back half-time or full-time, that could be an option for us. Right now, we don't have an opening, and we're hoping it stays that way, but we're not sure if it will. When I mentioned that at Education Workforce, actually another educator in that room said a retired chemical engineer reached out to them and wanted to substitute. So that person called this chemical engineer, and they've reached out to us. So we might have an option as far as chemistry. But I say that to let you know the teacher shortage crisis is real, and I talk to you about that all the time, and I do not foresee it getting better in the next foreseeable future. You know, there's some legislation out there that will pay tuition for Oklahoma graduates to attend college and then pay a bonus for a $5,000 a year bonus for 4 years, so $20,000 if they stay in an Oklahoma school. But that's still 8 years down the road, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, the only other option we have is a first grade opening at Woodlands. If you remember, we have that class size legislation that was enacted last year. In K and 1, we can only have 20 students in a classroom per teacher. We can have 9 over at a site. So let's say we have 2 first grade teachers at Woodlands. The most kids that we can have are 49 with an assistant, or then we have to pay a penalty on our state aid. So right now, we have 50 first graders at Woodlands, so we are 1 over. We are watching our numbers. If we can shift a teacher from another site, we'll do so. However, today was the first day that registration opened back up, and they were super, super busy. We registered tons of kids today, which is a really good problem to have. And we have 12 more days before school starts. And oftentimes, even on that first day of school, we have a lot of kids register. So we will see how that goes. If not, I did talk to our regional accreditation officer today. You are exempt from that penalty if you have 80% bonded indebtedness, and we do for the next 5 years. So we won't have that penalty regardless, but I was speaking with him and I said, okay, so you guide me on what to do. Well, if you can't find a teacher, you do what you have to do to take care of your kids. So we're going to be okay.
Okay, Shelley, this is a little offbeat, but back to your chemistry. Is that a junior and senior level class?
Do you have juniors in there, Mr. Dent, in chemistry? Mostly?
Okay, and the reason I say that, Fairfax, for instance, has a girl that just graduated with 25 college credits, and I asked her how they're getting so much concurrent classes. What they're doing, they've cut a deal with TCC, Tulsa Community College, so that originally they went over there, then they brought the kids in during COVID or so. I wonder if we could do something.
Well, in fact, we were kind of talking about that with
Similar.
NOC, correct, Dr. Hawkins? See if maybe we can get
I mean,
more college credits.
25 college credits is
We would
a
like-
big savings to the parents.
You know that Tulsa Union Public Schools has a community college come in, and kids can graduate with a high school diploma and an associate's degree. And we would like to get that, so that's something I talked to Dr.
And the reason I
Hawkins
asked
about.
this girl, she said, we just can't get the teachers that we need for all the courses. So what they have done, the courses they couldn't get, they shifted to TCC and did them juniors and seniors for the upper
I think Broken
two
Arrow
grades.
didn't, when I was at Broken Arrow, I think they do the same thing, don't they?
Broken
Have that-
Arrow, Tulsa Union.
Yeah, and all
But I
those
think
guys.
Tulsa Union is the only school where they can get an associate's degree and a high school diploma at the same time. I could be wrong.
But that may be one way to help the
It may
teacher
be.
shortage.
It may be. Well, we're exploring that, and I know Dr. Hawkins is visiting with NOC about that possibility
Well,
as
the
well.
mom was excited about 25 hours.
I would be too.
Yeah, because it's a whole lot cheaper concurrent than it is at college.
Okay, that's it as far as staffing. As of this 10 seconds, don't check your email, Jennifer. We could have another opening. Right now, we're to the point we can hold certificates if you go to another school in Oklahoma, and our duty is to the kids of Ponca City Public Schools. We don't want to do that to our teachers. And last time, I told you we were holding a certificate. We were able to fill that position, and we released just in the nick of time. So, but these are out-of-state resignations where you don't need that Oklahoma certificate.
Okay. Number 5, consent agenda. Motion required for the approval of the consent agenda as printed and as amended. Board members may, however, call for a separate vote on any or all listed on the consent agenda. And this is the minutes, the updated minutes of the July 7th, 2022 Special Board of Education meeting, and the minutes of the July 18th regular board meeting, and the contracts and agreements under 10,000. Do I have a,
Have a motion.
One, since we have Mr. Dent in here, if I remember right, from Finance or Property, one of the meetings, there was a request for some expenditures for SAT testing. I think Betsy had turned that one in. But I don't,
It was PSAT.
and I didn't think any of the colleges were accepting that. So I guess my question would be, why would we be,
Is it on the consent agenda?
I don't see it on there.
Yeah, we must have removed it, or,
That was my question, because it was on the first copy we saw.
If it was the PSAT, that is taken by all sophomores in the fall, and that's one of the qualifying exams for National Merit Scholars.
But National Merit's the only one,
The National Merit Scholars is a process, that's step 1, and all sophomores take that, or they have to take that. Some juniors take that also. So
but I don't see it on here, though.
I've got the original.
investigate further what that was.
We don't have to worry about it if it's not on here.
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I don't see it
I
on the original.
remember it was on the original one that we had in the committee meeting.
motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve with the items that we need to add.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I don't
Mr.
see it on
Riley?
here.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Okay. Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Okay, number 6. I'm looking at both of these agendas, so I might get off
I think you probably have the latest to the right.
to the right.
The one I
Okay.
gave you.
Okay. Number 6, action items, and there's motion required. These are the financial things from the funds, and everything on the financial report. I have on this one A through P.
Correct.
Okay. And unless a board member has something that they want to discuss, one of these items that they want to discuss, we'll just go on with the motion.
I make a motion we approve. We had a good meeting.
Second.
Okay.
Mrs. Rowland? Aye. Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Okay. Number 2 on that one, adopting a resolution. No, these are separate, aren't they? Okay, adopting a resolution on the 2022 City of Ponca City Hazard Mitigation Plan Update Commentary.
Okay,
Shelley's gonna talk
the
about
city
this.
organizes and facilitates a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation planning process, and they do that according to FEMA guidelines, and school personnel, along with other community partners, participate in this process and planning, and once approved, the community and community partners would become eligible for federal assistance funds in the event of emergency, tornado, flood, whatever. So it's a planning process that occurs every 5 years. And that's a standalone vote, Mrs. Troop,
Okay.
in case unless anybody has any questions.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Make a
Move for
motion.
approval.
I'll second.
Okay. It's, Dawn made the motion and Anna seconded it. Call for the vote.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mrs. Riley? Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Okay, number 3, consider and take action on school site statutory deregulation applications for library media services for our EM Trout and Union Elementary schools.
Okay, this was something that the state of Oklahoma put into play at least as far back as I can remember, 12 years since being in central administration. And a lot of it has to do with the severe teacher shortage crises. And prior to the significant teacher shortage crises, we had a huge shortage of library media specialists. So a deregulation is essentially a waiver from the rules, and it's a waiver from Oklahoma Administrative Code for library media services for the next 3 school years for both Trout and Woodlands. And with that shortage, it allows us to hire a full-time library monitor. They are not a certified staff member, they are a support staff member, and they man the library at these sites all day long. So our students can go in and get audio-visual materials or books, and our teachers can do the same thing. And with that comes some requirements. A certified librarian has to supervise the monitors. Basically, the certified librarian orders for the library. They come in and meet. We have to submit minutes to our RAO, and that allows us to deregulate. We currently have only 2 full-time media specialists serving all of our elementary sites. So we only deregulate at Trout and Woodlands and Liberty and Union. However, we're not deregulating for Liberty and Union because it's not on the 3-year cycle. It's on an alternate cycle.
So you have it backwards. This year it's Trout and Union. We're not doing Liberty and Woodlands.
Okay, there we go then. We're not doing Liberty and Woodlands, so this is Trout and Union. I think that's what Mrs. Troop said too, so.
So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Makes me sad. A little bit.
Okay, call for the vote.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye. Okay, number 4, consider and take action on the following contracts and agreements. A, consider and take action on accepting subcontract bids for the VO Ag Improvements Project per construction manager report.
Okay, so bid packages were received on June 7th of this year, and the guaranteed maximum price was $369,663. This was for barn remodels, demo, new fencing, and the lowest bidders were identified on June 7th.
Okay, on A, I would like to change the wording. I don't have a problem talking to the appropriate people on accepting the subcontractor. It's the accepting the bids. We're not going to do A.
Which Beal discussed that.
That's right, but what I'm saying in A, I don't have a problem accepting the GMP,
Okay?
but accepting the bid gives me a little heartburn. And I understand why we need to do it for some legality issues. But we're not accepting the $369,000 charge.
That's the guaranteed maximum price?
That's it, we have to guarantee that price.
Right, but
That's
we're
later.
not accepting the subcontractor's bid. We're accepting the GMP, but
Right.
we're not doing the project at
So we're not
$369,000.
approving the bid.
Huh?
We're not approving the bid, we're approving the GMP.
Well, that
In the title, it says on accepting subcontract bids,
bid.
so just mark
I
that
think the
off.
word bid needs changed to GMP, and I have no problem with it.
In the
In the
title of the.
Yes.
Okay.
You just want GMP instead of bid.
On
with
accepting
that,
the
Stephanie?
You have
GMP.
to approve the subcontractor bids.
Right. You can't change it, we're in the middle of it.
Okay.
But it's not the bid we're approving, it's the
We're-
GMP.
Yeah, we are approving the bids.
So we are, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, and if it's all right, we got this bid package from Rick Scott Construction that identified who was the lowest and most responsible bid for each of the packages we put out to bid.
Right.
Whether that was fencing, insulation,
Right.
overhead doors. So what we are accepting is the identification that those people were selected as the lowest that formed this GMP. Now, that does not commit us to doing the project, because we said that's way out of our budget.
But the lowest bids led us to the GMP.
Now, the item below that says the district is comfortable using those lowest and best and responsible bidders to go back and
Right.
say, this is the scope of the project. How can we get that scope of the project lower into our budgetary amounts that you guys set
Yeah.
forth? It'd be like if we didn't have an HVAC company, but let's say Stolhan Wells was the lowest company, and they were the lowest one, but their price was still way too high. And then instead of saying, well, we're not going to use Stolhan, we're going to use someone else that competed against them, now they know Stolhan's price to come back and do this project. Identifying who was the lowest bidders in each of those groups. Did I?
Yeah, and the report that was included in property committee outlined each one of those bid packages for the subcontractors that we were asking to be approved along with the GMP at the very, very bottom. And then also, the very next line item, as Adam said, will modify the contract price to be 200, whatever it is. So it'll revise the GMP back down to 250 and some change.
So why don't we combine A and B together?
Title
we will.
61 of the Competitive Bidding Act says we cannot.
Yeah.
Just saving you some legal hassle down the road.
Do you want me to go on to number B?
Or
Well,
Or
we
could
need to
we-
have a motion for
or-
A.
We can't change it. We can't change the item.
Together.
If we don't, we have to throw it out.
It's all
No,
together.
we can.
No, we can't
redo
modify
a
it.
motion to change
We
the
can't
heading.
modify it,
We can change the heading.
but we're not going to.
I don't see why we'd need to if as it stands, it works, to get to the work started and get the work going.
What's the implication if we don't? We're not following the law. If we don't,
The bid packages.
Right.
go along with
You can't approve the second one.
Right.
there you
we
go.
can't.
Okay, so,
But we would be out the cost of Rick Scott's time and estimating and pre-bid work and WPA's time and engineering.
Well, not if we accept B, would we?
Huh?
If we
Oh, you can't accept B without A.
You can't accept.
No, you can't accept B without A.
On B, it looks like the two projects equal. You said that the 369 was too much. Did you say that?
it revises. We're going to talk about B is value engineering, but it is a good, okay, so the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price did not fit within our budget. So we had to do some value engineering, and that value engineering went to the lowest bidders of the project on June 6th or 7th, or whatever day that was, that the bid packages were received. So we'll adjust on B.
Okay, so is the price going to be the $369 then?
No.
No.
Well, but on B, if you add, well, the 118 and the 250, it comes up $369.
It is, but we're
Exactly.
pulling 118 out of it.
The
We're value engineering 118.
Okay.
We're basically taking one barn out.
Okay.
Basically.
So you're taking the 118 out?
Correct.
Okay.
That's a subtraction. But we have to do this to meet
Okay, I
Title
see.
61 of the Competitive Bidding Act.
All right.
Alrighty, let's go.
I have a question of the clerk before we move on. Do we vote on A through the last letter
Yeah,
to
we-
get all at once, or do we vote on?
All at
individually?
once.
Okay.
A through
You want to cut one out, you can cut
H.
one out.
What, huh? A through what?
No, we don't have to vote on all of them at the same
through
time.
H.
A through H. Oh.
Easier,
pull
but we
some
don't
out.
have to.
You can pull some out.
Yeah.
But we don't have to have a separate vote for each one.
Okay. So do we want to pull these out, or you want to leave?
No,
it?
make a motion to
Let's go
approve.
on to B.
Go on to B?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Consideration and take action on accepting subcontract bids for the VOAG Improvements Project per value engineer items.
Okay, so the original GMP did not fall in line with our budget. This
Okay.
is a building fund project, so we needed to do some value engineering, and we let our lowest bidders know, as per, our lowest responsible bidders know, per the Competitive Bidding Act, that they could narrow their scope. So they presented new costs to us with a narrow scope that would meet our budget, and the value engineering total is $118,840.55, which revises the GMP to $250,882.45. So what we're reducing is insulation, concrete, overhead doors, but we are, from one barn, but we are continuing with the fencing to meet our budget.
Okay.
And the other one. We are reading.
Just minus one bar.
One barn, one foot.
One barn's being versus two barns being, okay. Got it. Okay. Now, do we,
Go on to C.
okay.
Rob, would you like to
I
vote on those
know.
two?
Huh?
You want us to vote on those two?
No, we can do them all.
Okay. C, agreement with CDW-G to monitor student activity while online.
Okay, this is Go Guardian, and allows our teachers and administrators to monitor a student's activity while they are working online. Round the clock, if they're on our server, they can monitor. A live timeline shows exactly what the students are working on, with what usage history. It shows where they need remediation. It is also, and for this reason, it's used to improve and maximize learning while minimizing distractions, because it also tells us if they're on sites where they shouldn't be. And even after hours, we have caught some things that have been bullying issues or otherwise that, that we've actually saved some of our students' lives through Go Guardian.
Well, good.
Because our administrators are pinged if they're researching something that could cause them harm or harm to someone else.
Okay. Okay, D, agreement with Intrado Interactive Services Corporation for School Messenger.
This is our content management system for our website and the PCPS app. It connects with PowerSchool, our student information system, so that we can cross platforms for maximum efficiency. Our students and our staff can go on our website and report crisis or bullying. It allows for our activities calendar to be in real time. It's a way for our patrons to contact staff members. It's our employment application services, and it also facilitates My School Bucks. And it's a $19,800 yearly cost that's paid from our bond funds allocated for technology.
Okay. Number E, agreement with Kildare Public Schools to provide services.
This is actually a contract that Kildare has with PCPS, with us. We provide services for one Kildare student attending a self-contained SPED classroom, the STARS class, striving to achieve real-life skills for the 2022-2023 school year, and Kildare pays just under $14,600 for these services.
Okay. F, agreement with Jackson Mechanical Service Incorporated to provide HVAC repair services.
Okay, Jackson Mechanical will provide PCPS with district HVAC repair services as needed. This contract will replace our agreement with Ward's Air Conditioning, Inc., and it is at a cost of $20,000, and that's the building fund as needed. We may find that we may have to come back and increase at some point as well. And on the consent agenda is the rescinded contract with Ward's Air Conditioning.
Quite a bit of savings.
So the 20,000 is just a PO to get us started?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
G, contract with J&B Mechanical LLC to repair refrigeration freezer units.
That's exactly what it does. It provides repairs to our refrigeration freezer units for CMP as needed, and they are often needed, correct, Chef Jeff? That cost is $15,000 out of child nutrition program funds.
Okay.
You did a
H-
good job.
H, contract with Oswald Restaurant Supply to deliver, uncrate, and install a unit at the high school.
Okay, they're going to deliver, uncrate, and install a unit, and it's called a Halo Heat Slow Cook Hold and Smoker Oven at the high school. And if you want more details, I think Jeff can fill you in. That is a CMP cost, and it's $17,316.82. Anybody want to know what that is?
I do.
Okay.
Jeff?
Came about because the federal government changed the sodium, they cut it way back. So a lot of the stuff we have to start doing, we've got to manufacture products won't work. So this is something that we can put in at the end of the day, and it'll cook all night, and then once it reaches a certain temperature, it turns into a holding oven. And it can be beef, chicken, pork, any of those things. And we can also do vegetables and other things in it. So, and the price is for the unit, and the setup is just $250.
That was my question.
It's a nice product.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions on any of the other things?
No,
Okay.
I make a motion to vote on A through H.
Okay. Do I have a second? Anna made a motion. Do I have a second?
Yep, you got me.
Anna? Nancy seconded them. Okay, call for the vote.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Oh, number 5, motion and vote to convene in executive session for the following purposes: to discuss the possible termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel on the detached detailed personnel report, to discuss negotiations, to discuss the purchase or appraisal of real property, and to discuss confidential conversations with the board's attorney concerning pending claims and litigations. Do I have a motion for executive session?
I
So
will make a
moved.
motion.
Second.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Okay. We are in executive session. We're returning to open session. Number 7, recital by the board president that minutes of executive session were kept by the board minutes clerk and will remain confidential. Number 8, consider and take action on recommendations for termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel per the attached detailed report. Do I have a motion to accept the personnel report?
I make a motion.
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay. Call for the vote.
Mr. Newsom?
No.
Mr. Riley?
Which one are we voting on?
Personnel report.
Number 8? Aye.
Great. Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Mrs.
What did I
Tripp.
say?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed.
Oh, aye.
He's saying aye.
I
I
said
don't
that
know
too.
what he,
Okay,
I was
he's-
reading again, I was like, what are we
Okay.
doing?
Mr. Newsom's and I.
Yeah.
All ayes, okay.
But I thought he said no.
He
I
did.
did, but I said the
That's
wrong
what-
thing.
He
that's
said the
what-
wrong
That's
thing.
why I
He
was
said
asking
what-
which one we're voting for.
Okay, okay.
Okay, number 9, consider and take action on the negotiated agreement with the Ponca City Public Schools Association of Classroom Teachers, the ACT, for the 2022-2023 school year, pending ratification by the ACT. Do I have a motion?
So moved. And I'll second it.
Okay, call for the vote.
Mr. Riley?
Nay.
Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Nay.
Number 10, consideration to approve a compromise and settlement agreement with the Welch family regarding the 600 East Comanche and the 601 East Brookfield properties.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Mrs. Rowland?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Okay, number 7, is there any new business?
No new business.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
The meeting's adjourned.